So Rob and Sophie got married and moved to Texas. Sophie finally has a bathroom. Except that she's not even living with him. Rob got caught cheating again, and Sophie moved in with her friend Kay. The show teases this new woman like she's a new romantic interest, but it turns out they're just best friends. Girl, you sure? Because she looks way happier laying in bed next to Kay than she's ever looked breathing the same air as Rob. Meanwhile, Rob gives us his own version of events, and he sounds like a guy trying to downplay a war crime. So yeah, we decided to get a fresh start. Me, Sophie and my dog moved to Austin. We expanded the family. I got 6 pet tarantulas. 6 pet tarantulas. I'm not saying I'd move out too, but I'd at least start packing. Anyway, Sophie didn't leave because of the spiders. Somehow. The problem, as always, was Rob's cheating. Just a few months after moving, Sophie caught him again. She literally hacked into his social media to confirm what she already knew, because Rob's phone is basically a crime scene at this point. And what did she find? Dozens of women, dozens of messages. Rob had been lying about the extent of his online flirting. I genuinely don't know what this man's end goal is. Like, does he think Snapchatting random girls is a form of networking? Rob, being Rob, responds with his usual, "I'm the real victim here" energy. He says, "She's got this one friend, Kay. She's ruining our relationship. She's whispering in Sophie's ear, trying to turn her against me." Sophie, meanwhile, is the definition of exhausted. She says she can't be sure he won't cheat again, because she can't. But Sophie's problem runs deep. When she talks about her childhood, about having to care for her mum who struggled with addiction, it all starts to make sense. She grew up fixing broken people. Now she's married to one. Enter Claire, Sophie's mum, professional Rob hater and walking lie detector. Sophie tells her she might move back in with Rob, and Claire gets frustrated. Why the hell would you go back into that mess? Claire's boyfriend, John, tries to be polite, but she's like, "I don't want you with him. He's mean. He's not good enough for you." And she's right. Claire's been right from day one. She's the one person in this show with her brain fully charged. But Sophie, of course, defends Rob like she's his PR agent. She tells John he's nice. Our marriage is just in a weird spot. Yeah, weird spot is one way to describe the intersection of infidelity and denial. Sophie opens up more here. She explains that she grew up without stability. She was basically parenting her own mother, watching addiction and chaos daily. So to her, Rob, as terrible as he is, still feels like home. It's not healthy, but it's familiar. She's chasing stability in the exact place she'll never find it. So then Rob plans this weird peace offering date. He says, "I'm taking Sophie to a selfie gallery." She loves taking pictures. Does he even know anything about her wife? That's so superficial. Like, sure, what better place to repair a broken marriage than under LED ring lights and neon hearts? But okay, I'll give him credit. At least he remembered something about her. They meet up for the first time in over 2 months, and it's instantly awkward. Rob walks in, Sophie jokes, "I didn't even recognize you." They sit down and immediately start arguing about, wait for it, wedding rings. Rob says Sophie forgot hers at home. Sophie says Rob isn't wearing his because he wants people to think he's single. Oh, good. So you'll cheat, lie, and gaslight, but at least you won't look stupid. And then he does the classic back and forth we all know. Sophie lays it all out. She's found messages from over 50 women spanning 4 years. Rob's response? It was literally just girls telling me I'm cute. Sure, Rob. Sophie finally says she's over the conversation, and honestly, we are too. At this point, Rob's apologies are so recycled they should be printed on eco-friendly paper. Every "I'm sorry" he says feels like a line he's memorized in the mirror, and Sophie knows it. You can see it in her face. She's tired, but she's also trapped. Not physically, but emotionally, because she still believes that if he just grows up a little, it'll all be fine. Sophie's mum brings up something new. She tells Sophie that Rob's behaviour reminds her of addiction. The sneaky behaviour, the lying, the compulsion. She says it's like he's addicted to cheating or porn or both. And you know what? She might not be wrong. But the problem is, Sophie's mum being an ex-addict herself, this whole "maybe he's sick, not evil" thing might actually backfire. Because if Sophie believes Rob is an addict, she'll want to fix him. And that's her comfort zone. She literally says, "I don't know if he's got a porn addiction or if he's just a dick that likes porn." Either way, neither option sounds like husband material. At this point, Sophie's story feels less like a love story and more like a psychological case study. She's repeating her childhood pattern, trying to heal broken men who don't want to be healed. Her mum couldn't be saved until she saved herself. And Rob? He doesn't even think he needs saving. So here's where we are now. Sophie wants Rob to reflect. Rob wants Sophie to come home. Neither wants to deal with reality. They say love is blind, but in Sophie's case, it's blind, deaf, and refuses to read the subtitles. However, Sophie also gets into trouble for not exactly being honest about everything. Sophie's childhood friend Callum, who she briefly dated, visits them in the US, and it gets tense. He doesn't like Rob, and they both insist they dated when they were just children. Except, to the camera crew, Callum directly says he would date Sophie if she wanted to. Either way, their story would be easier to believe if Rob had been told this in 2021 and not 10 seconds ago in front of a pool, a camera crew, and a man who greeted Sophie with a kiss feint like they were filming a Netflix teen drama. The issue isn't that it happened. The issue is she didn't tell him. And she knows she didn't tell him. You can see it in her "please don't explode" body language, holding his hand, shifting closer, laying on his chest. Meanwhile, Rob goes full baritone. "You mean to tell me you dated him, found him attractive, and you lied?" I mean, yes, that is what she means. And yes, it sucks. But also, yes, the hypocrite alarm is blasting, because you, sir, have been collecting DMs like they're Pokemon for 4 years. He wants grace for his mistakes, but mobilises a SWAT team for hers. Classic Rob math. Then Callum, who is absolutely enjoying the chaos like it's bottomless brunch, decides to clarify. He shares that they dated at 16 in Portugal. It was brief, and they've been platonic since. He did not need to say it. He chose to, and he chose to say it in front of Rob. He came for vibes and violence. Rob's jealousy isn't subtle. He's not even hiding the "I hoped he'd look like Gollum" line. He actively resent pouts when Callum turns out to be attractive. It's exhausting. Is there awkwardness? Yes. Has anyone done anything inappropriate at this table beyond Callum's try-hard entrance? Not really. But Rob's insecurity has a gym membership and a pre-workout sponsor. When Rob tries to leave and cool off, the penny finally drops for Sophie. She shrugged that off earlier. Now she's apologizing like she just crashed his car. And this is the trap. Sophie slides into caretaker mode. Hug, soothe, reassure, because that's the role she knows. It worked on her mum's addiction, so maybe it'll work on Rob's ego. Callum, still circling like a cat who just pushed a glass off the counter, wanders over to check in. Huge mistake. Rob is already vibrating, hearing, "We're not really exes, it was barely anything," from the man himself does not calm him.
I can't stand watching them argue. I think Sophie needs to be someone that's a bit more confident in herself. Yeah. But, I mean, if she said she wanted to date again, I definitely wouldn't say no.
Thank you for confirming why Rob doesn't trust you, sir. Sophie, spiralling, decides the only way to prove loyalty is to cut Callum out entirely. And this is where I'm stuck, between good boundary and this is how isolation starts. In this specific case, fine. Callum is messy and clearly still into her. But if this becomes the model, every time Rob sulks, she amputates a relationship, then we're just speed running to no friends, no family, just tarantulas. They meet again. Rob arrives, like sad Eeyore, with a superiority complex. Sophie apologizes. Again. She stresses, "I put you first." He feeds, finally says he feels hope, and asks the real prize. "When are you coming home?" There it is. The entire blow-up, the marathon sulk, the "you don't consider me." All audience warm-up for the main act. Get Sophie back in the apartment. She says yes. He calls the night a success. Of course he does. He got what he wanted. He just converted her guilt into rent. Cut to the world's saddest romance. Rob constructs breakfast in bed like a 6th grader doing fine dining with Lunchables. Smoked salmon slapped onto crackers, dollops of cheese, and then, because nothing says love like lactose, he buries her wedding ring in the cream cheese like it's a prize in a cereal box. The man literally knows she hates cheese and still used cheese as the delivery mechanism. The symbolism is almost too on the nose. His love language is ignoring what she tells him. Then, the ring debate. Is it the real one or costume jewellery? The fact that nobody can tell is peak Rob ring law. When your marriage band could be swapped with an H&M multi-pack and no one notices, we are not in forever territory. Still, Sophie tries. She pets the tarantula. She laughs. She's pulling on threads she hopes can still hold this together. And Rob decides, because she's physically back in the apartment, that means we're good. He literally says, now that she's home, he'll put the ring on again, as if her presence earns the privilege of his commitment. Let's leave this currently with Sophie being back to living with Rob and revisit how their marriage is going in the next part.